Hello, I want to talk about our Chancellor of the Exchequer, Rishi Sunak. Recently he's been in the news rather a lot regarding his tax affairs, or rather his wife's tax affairs. And that's not because either he or his wife have been found with their hands in the till so far. Of course, things could change, but so far as I know up to now, they've acted perfectly within the law and have been very willing to give full information about their tax and their income using the legal system which we have. The problem, so far as I understand it, is that he and his wife, or perhaps it's just his wife, I really don't know, hold dual citizenship. And that being the case, she could take on a sort of legal fiction whereby she states she's not actually domiciled here in this country and so can claim a tax-exempt status. Now, I'm going to deal with two things here. The first is to do with Sunak's behaviour, and this was most disappointing. And the second is to do with British tax laws. So, to start with, Sunak. I can't, and this is what's disappointing, I can't believe that someone who got into the sort of position he is, high up in a political party governing the country, couldn't predict that the tax situation that he has, about which he's been very open, so it was somebody sooner or later was going to get that information, and he wasn't aware of the sort of problems it would cause when that got out. I mean, he was within the law so far up to now, so far as we know. But that's not everything, is it? And that probably means that he's not a very good politician. And that is rather disappointing. So, yeah, that's my observation on that part of the matter. The second is more to do with the way the British financial sector works. I am not a financial whiz, but so far as I know, the British financial system is, for all its faults, and I don't know that there is one that doesn't have faults, it's the most flexible and user-friendly financial establishment in the world. And that's not saying much, of course, but I find most financial situations about as comprehensively transparent as a coal mine. But I've had dealings with the Bank of America, for instance, and as nice as the assistants are, the system is, well, it's like strapping a steam engine onto a Lamborghini. They're using so many old-fashioned ways of doing things that it's clunky, and that's all there is to it. And that's just the ordinary banking system. Now, the British financial services are, as far as I can make out, about the most desirable to work with in the world. And as I said, I'm not a financial expert, but I'm just using empirical evidence. It's still the financial service that outperforms every other institution of its type in the world. Frankfurt, which also is a financial centre, has been trying with the help of the EU to outdo London for years, and they've not succeeded. And I suppose that's because there's a bit less red tape and a bit more flexibility in Britain. And that's because Britain has always had a huge international outlook. It's always had a lot of colonies right round the world, and this has resulted in a worldwide marketing attitude which works for, well, all and sundry. And so there are many people complaining about the way the Russians have salted money away in Britain because of this wide open financial market. And of course this can be good and bad. And there are laws, for instance, that, well, with a bit of creativity, can be got round, not exactly against the law, but, well, not exactly honest either. And I've seen quite a lot of people, in many cases, displaying a lot of self-righteous indignation and outrage, shouting about how privileged multimillionaires like Akshata Murthy, that's Mrs. Sunak to you and me, or Your Excellency perhaps to you and me, how they have the resources to employ fancy accountants that can make the British tax system stand up on its hind legs and do bunny hops. So they're very angry about this, that she's managed to get around the laws so, well, apparently easily. But let's look at this another way. Why should this be the privilege of the few? Why should it be a privilege? Why should we have a tax system that's so convoluted it requires fancy accountants to reduce the tax burden? The question we should really be asking is not why people like Mrs. Sunak have used laws have used legal routes to get around paying taxes, but why we have so many taxes that require this sort of workaround. The tax system is so complicated that it's worth the while of rich people to pay probably our entire year's salary to professional money movers to get them out of the taxes, because that's less payment than actually paying the taxes. If we had fewer taxes, more people would be paying them because it wouldn't be worth their while not to. And if there's anyone in the Conservative Party listening to this, perhaps they should give it some thought. Why make the taxes so heavy and so complicated and with so many outs, when all you have to do is reduce the taxes so that it's not worth the while of such people as the Sunaks to pay accountants to get them out of these taxes? And that's what we should be righteously angry about, not the Sunaks taking advantage of perfectly legal routes. That's my thought for the day. I am Graniopteryx. I am to be found on YouTube, Rumble, BitChute, and Minds. When I upload a new video, I put that out on Twitter, Gab, and Parler, where I am at Graniopteryx. Please push the like button, share the video, support my channel if you can, and well, I'll see you next time. Why not treat yourself or a favoured relative or friend to these magnificent examples of merch? The mugs and t-shirts come in the Graniopteryx design or Granbo with a firearm or the more deadly knitting needles. Go to www.graniopteryx.com and whatever platform you're watching this on, please click like, subscribe and share.